Hello and welcome to Dopey, the podcast about drugs, addiction, and dumb shit. And I'm Dave, and I am in the attic, and it is Friday night, so I'm gonna fucking record this episode, and then I'm gonna send it out. And this episode is obviously incredibly exciting. If you read the description, you know that Jamie Lee Curtis is on this episode, which is insane. There's a bunch of other stuff that's on this episode also. In the wake of the This American Life phenomenon, people are very interested in Dopey. And finally, after years of fucking up ads and having very few ads and very little income, somebody has taken the risk, or I don't know if it's a risk. They've taken a step at having me and Dopey and the Dopey Nation vouch for their greatness. And I'm talking about Aloe Treatment Center. They exist. They reside in Southern California in beautiful Malibu and Silver Lake. And it's a beautiful, beautiful place to go and get clean. If you're having a problem and you want to go away, I recommend going to Aloe. The philosophy was invented by our friend Bob Forrest. We're excellent matters. They provide high quality care, but that's not what makes them special. It's authenticity and genuineness that provide the Aloe philosophy. Their staff has a combined 675 years of experience treating addiction and mental health problems, and they use state-of-the-art pharmacology for their detoxes, making clients as comfortable as they can be. The staff is amazing. They have insane amenities, but the real reason to go is because they're good people. From everything I've heard about Aloe from Bob and from Evan, these are people that really care about how your recovery is, and they care about what your life looks like. And they want to make a treatment center that is respectful to the clients. Bob went to 1 million rehabs, and he found that rehabs were disrespectful to him. So he wanted to create a treatment center that was respectful to the clients. So if you're in trouble and no one else can help, maybe you can hire the A-team. No, maybe you can go to Aloe and check it out. And yeah, check it out. Anyway, still a very exciting show. I'm going to say go to Aloe one more time because I want these people to get their money's worth, and I think it's fucking awesome that they trust. I think the biggest thing to say about Aloe is that they trusted Dopey enough to advertise with us. So I think that's awesome. Now, again, today's show is very exciting. Jamie Lee Curtis is on. Possibly, I think in all likelihood, the biggest star that we've ever had. And I'm sure there's a shitload of people in the Dopey Nation who are like, Dave, you're such a sellout, man. We don't need stars. We just need addicts on the show. And you're right. But I like that we got Jamie Lee Curtis. Anybody who knows the story of how, Jamie Lee Curtis kind of stumbled into mine and Chris's life will feel like we've come full circle. And we get to that story with Jamie, so bear with me. And for anybody who's new and doesn't know about the show, you should know that I started it with my friend Chris, who I met in rehab, and we wanted to do a show about, the funniest shit that happened when we were doing drugs and getting clean and whatever. And that was Dopey, and somehow Chris wound up relapsing and dying, and I'm still making the show, and the show is still meant to be Dopey, but it can't be the same show because we lost somebody to addiction. So we can laugh at the dumb shit that we did when we're clean, we can laugh at the dumb shit that we did when we're high too, but we need to deal with reality that you can't. It's like, how much can you really laugh when your friends are dying? And not to mention, I don't want any more of you guys to be dying. Not that there's anything I can do about it. So I keep the show as dopey as I can keep it. I try to keep it as funny as I can keep it. There is a responsibility, and I'm not the most responsible person, but, there's a responsibility, and I want to honor that. And I don't like to, I hate talking like that. But people are giving me shit that the show is not dopey enough. And it's like, fuck you. Watch your friends die and see how dopey you can make the fucking show. But I promise you there will be dopey in every episode. Dopey will not be not dopey. And I don't know, man. I want to tell you the story that's not like drug dopey, but I think it's fucking funny. For Christmas, Linda bought me this a gift certificate to this place called Float. And Float is a place that does deprivation tanks. I don't know if you guys know what a deprivation tank is, but a sensory deprivation tank. You get in the tank I mean, I imagined it was like a coffin or something. I imagined like some kind of tube out of a science fiction movie full of water, and I don't know how you would breathe, but it seemed like a very claustrophobic and scary thing. And when Linda gave me the gift certificate, I was kind of nervous. And then I asked her, well, how long do you have to go into the tank for? And she's like, it's an hour and a half. And I was like, are you kidding me? I have to go into that thing for an hour and a half? And she wanted me to be excited, and I didn't want to be ungrateful, so I said I was going to be excited. And so the week that the This American Life story comes out, she's like, I made an appointment for us to go and float. And I was like, I don't want to go. I just want to stare at the computer and watch our downloads and read all the millions of emails that we got from the This American Life piece and bask in the glory of Dopey. And she's like, well, I made the appointment, and if I cancel, it's going to cost $70 each. Do you want to pay $70? And I was like, no. So we went to this place, and you walk in, and it's like this hippy-dippy sort of pseudo-wellness place, and it's got like all sorts of like catchphrases on the wall, and it's just like kind of a hokey self-help sort of place. And there's this kid behind the desk, and he has us fill out these forms, how did you know about float, blah blah blah. And he's like, let me take you on a tour. So he takes us on a tour of the facility, and it's basically these, I think Linda thought we were going to be in the same room on either side of each other in tanks. Like, I think she thought of it was going to be like mud baths or some kind of spa treatment. But it's like basically you all get your own bathroom, and in the bathroom is a shower, and behind the shower is like this cave. It's this tiled room with this huge tub, and it's all black. So there's all this water in the tub, and if you look at the tub, it looks like super deep. It looks endless. And it's full of salt water, and the guy's like, all right, well, you have to shower first, and then you get in the tub, and like they tell you all this stuff. They said, first you have to put your earplugs in, and if the salt water gets in your eyes, it's going to ruin the whole experience. So if you get salt water in your eyes, we have a nice washcloth where you're supposed to get the salt water out of your eyes, because if you touch your eyes with your hands, it's going to get worse, and it's going to bother you all day. And but make sure you have the earplugs in, and when 90 minutes are up, you'll hear music. I was like, all right. I was like, do people usually fall asleep? Because I was tired. I figured I'd fall asleep. I was like, do people usually fall asleep? So having said all that, it's a very exciting day for Dopey, because we have this incredible movie star on the show. So without further ado, let's bring on the great Jamie Lee Curtis. She is an inventor, an actor, an author, philanthropist, activist, blogger, photographer. She's a Jew. She's a Gentile. She's an actor. She's an addict. She is a human, a baroness, an action star, a scream queen, a comedy legend, a mother, and a wife. You guessed it. It's Jamie Lee Curtis.
Well, I'm not sure I would have guessed it.
No? I didn't give it away?
You have to keep going.
What else could there's a million things I could say. Would you say you're an alcoholic too? Can I put that in the list?
Oh, for sure.
She's an alcoholic. She's very beautiful and brilliant.
Now I would know. Now I would be like, oh, it's that girl.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you knew this, but the audience, the real old school members of the Dopey Nation, know that for probably 3 years I've been bugging you to come on the show. Have you noticed it?
Do people know where we met?
Yeah, I told the story. It's one of my favorite stories, but we have a lot of new listeners because of the This American Life piece. So why don't you tell your recollection, and then I'll give mine.
Oh, my goodness. It was Katz's Deli, wasn't it?
Correct.
Okay. And that's sort of all I remember. I was I'm not in New York very often. I'm a sort of born and raised Los Angeles girl. New York scares me. And I think I was staying in a hotel near Katz's Deli, and I went into Katz's Deli to get my husband, who grew up in New York City.
The great Christopher Guest. The great Christopher Guest.
The great Christopher Guest, who I got a hat. I got him a bagel and a hat from Katz's Deli,
wow.
Which I'm looking at right now. It's on a hook in my house.
Was he thrilled? He was mildly happy.
He was mildly amused. And anyway, so that's where I remember that. And then I remember you ran out following me down the road.
Yes.
Right?
I remember this. I was waiting tables. It was busy. And one of the maitre d's comes up to me and says, "Yo, did you see Jamie Lee Curtis was here?" I was like, "Shut the fuck up." And I run outside, out the back door, to wait for you outside. And you come out.
We call that, by the way, lying in wait. I'm just saying. There are laws against it, but go on. Keep with your story.
And I leaned up against, like, the side of the building, and I think I was smoking a cigarette trying to act casual, like I didn't know you were coming out. You know what I mean? Like a Bugs Bunny-ish kind of move. And
right.
And you come out, and I said, "Oh, Jamie Lee Curtis, what a shocker." And you went, "Oh, hello." And you kind of gave me like a kind of surveying me to make sure I wasn't going to kill you or say anything crazy. And then I told you that I was an addict and I did a podcast, and your exact words were, "I'm a dope fiend." And I said, yeah. "Me too." And you said, "And I'm clean." And I said, "Me too." And I gave you, and you said, "Give me your information and I will email you." And this is where the story gets funny to me. I told my partner, who died, Chris, about the story, and he freaked out. And Chris never cared about who we got on the show. But when it was you, he could tell his mother. And his mother was so impressed, and he was like, "Oh my God, my mom's impressed, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, "She's never going to write anyway." And I kind of forgot about the whole thing. And I took my daughter grocery shopping. And as I'm grocery shopping, you email, but I'm not going to say your email, but it doesn't have your full name.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm using some common sense. I see your email, but I don't recognize it. And it says, can we do this? And we have a lot of kooks emailing us, and I have no idea what you're writing about. So I wrote, "What?" And you wrote, "Podcast." And then I'm like, and I'm with my daughter, and I'm like trying to get vegetables and stuff. And I'm like, "What? Like, come on it?" And you wrote, "Yeah." And then I'm like, this woman's crazy, or this person's crazy. And then Chris calls me up and he's like, "You dumb idiot. It's Jamie Lee Curtis." And I freak out and I write you the long email to explain the show, and I send you a link. And you look at it and you're like, "I do not do comedy shows about addiction."
Well, no, I just didn't want to crack wise about it. It's not fucking funny.
Well, it's life or death.
And I know you may think it's funny, and I think what I was trying to say is, I treat this really seriously. This is the single greatest thing I will ever do in my life if I manage to stay sober until I die.
Right. No, and I don't.
So I was worried that it was sort of a comedy show, and you were like, no. And I was like, yeah.
Totally.
Like, yeah. Whatever.
No, but
Whatever. I'm on your show.
It's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite stories because I just think it's so funny.
I love this story, and I'm not on your show because your friend died, but I'm on your show. I am on your show to be supportive of you.
Well, I appreciate that.
I'm actually on this show today because I wanted to support his memory and your friendship, and that's why I'm on the show.
Well, I really appreciate that, and I think it's really beautiful. And I think the fact that you take your recovery.
Have you had people cry on your show before?
I didn't know you were really crying. No, I don't think I've ever had anybody cry on my show.
Oh, okay, good.
Well,
good. So then the whole idea of not wanting to make a joke about it,
right,
is good.
No, I understand what you're saying, and we only
because it's not funny.
No, and it's not funny that I lost two of my best friends over the summer, and it rocked me, and it still rocks me. It's not funny, and it destroyed my life. And being sober is the greatest thing that I've ever done because I get to have my family now, and I get to be free. And I understand exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
And our purpose wasn't to crack wise. Our purpose was to show that you could have fun in recovery. That was our purpose.
We're all doing it for fun and for free.
Right on.
We are not a glum lot.
No. Sometimes
we are not a glum lot.
Sometimes a
Not
dumb
about,
lot.
Say again?
I said sometimes a dumb lot, but not a glum lot. Totally.
And sometimes it's dumb luck.
Yes.
But we are not a glum lot of people. We are all trying to live our lives just plain and sober. That's and everything that is involved with life: laughter, tears, profound depression, profound elation. Manic amounts of work, unemployment, all of it. Like, we're all trying to figure this out. And so I understand your show isn't about cracking wise. It's about celebrating the fact that you can actually still laugh when you're sober.
Exactly. It's exactly what it's about.
I'm very happy. I kind of knew that's what you were trying to do, but nonetheless, I treat it so seriously that I think you made me a little gun shy.
Listen.
And then your friend died.
Yeah.
And then my understanding shifted, because that's a grim reality that happens so often, in so many places, in so many circumstances and people's walks of lives that are similar and different and wildly. The pendulum swings in every direction, economically, socioeconomically, culturally, financially, racially, religiously. It is a rapacious predator. It doesn't matter who it is.
It doesn't give a shit. It will destroy you.
It doesn't give a shit.
No, that's for sure.
It will destroy you.
And all you have to do is look down for 1 second, which is what happened to Chris. He had 4 years. He was a PhD student. He had a beautiful girlfriend. He managed a sober house. He had the greatest recovery podcast in the history of podcasts. And still, he gave up his meetings. He gave up his spiritual life, and it all kind of came crashing down, and he didn't even notice it because it was his old life that kind of reappeared, and never did he, even though he knew everybody died, never did he consider that it was going to happen to him. I don't think. I can't get into his head, but I think he thought he could make it. I thought he could ride it out.
I am talking to you during the week, since in recovery we celebrate our recovery anniversaries for a sort of, a calendar week. Because if we're doing this correctly, or if we're doing this thoroughly, let me say, we attend more than one meeting, and so you try to, go around to the group of people that you have spent a lot of time with to celebrate the passing of the clock, when you're having a recovery anniversary. And this is the week, although what is the date? It's the 7th. 4 days ago was my actual sober birthday. But I am 20 years sober.
Amazing.
This week.
Amazing.
And
that's my clapping with the phone in my hand.
Oh, well, I've already cried on your show. I don't know. I mean, I think it's over.
That's it?
But no, it's all good. My sister, who's been a very loving, very clear and loving support to me as I have trudged the road of happy destiny in my recovery, gave me a little notebook that says, "Remember why you started," which is such an amazing gift to remember. Why? Remember what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now. But what happened? What happened? How is it possible that you and I are talking, and both of us, independent of each other, had some moment that shifted our consciousness, our lives, our willingness, our surrender, our every being, our every old trick in the book that we used to employ to get through a day, how is it possible that something shifted in our lives in that instant, because it is a moment of clarity that then propels you down a different road.
Yeah.
And for anybody listening, my moment of clarity or my level of, I'm a very high bottom in recovery circles. I refer to myself as an Everest bottom.
Nice.
I'm a really high bottom.
What was your moment of clarity like? Where did it come from?
Well, my moment of clarity was merely my understanding that I was about to die or a friend of mine was going to die, and either I was going to die and she would be at my funeral hugging my kids with blood on her hands, or vice versa. Or I would be at hers with her kids and I would have blood on mine, because I went to her for some help. Kind of like with I could barely get the words out. And it turned out that she was having the same problem I was having, and it was with opiates.
What I read was that you wound up, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I read it on some probably not substantial. Actually, you just tell me that it happened, because I'm going to get it wrong. Tell me the story.
Okay, I mean, it's simply that. I went to a friend who I thought was sober to say that I was really struggling with opiates, and she, in fact, was having the same problem. But for her, it wasn't a problem. For her, it was a solution.
Right.
And she was like, "Me too, isn't it amazing?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's not a problem. It's amazing." And she happened to have a doctor who would write you script. And at the time, I didn't have that. And it was, it was a little bit of manipulation on my part to get my hands on some. But, I mean, I was lucky they weren't available on the internet because I'd be dead.
Yeah.
I went to her for help. And I got the number of a doctor who would basically, I could say my back hurts, and he would give me script. And I left her house thinking, okay, this is the greatest news. My old friend, we reconnected. We used to party back in the day. Now we're going to be able to party in the day now. We both have little kids. This is fantastic news.
You found the solution at that moment. That was the solution to your life.
I thought that was the greatest. I thought, I've come asking for help, and I'm leaving with the name of a doctor. This is great. This is like the best day.
I have arrived.
By the way, and a handful of Vikes in my pocket.
Right.
And it was that night and morning when I woke up. Not necessarily a legitimate dream, but I had an understanding, that moment of clarity, that we were just full of shit. That we were addicts. Here we were, these famous women with everything in the world you could ever want. And we were tied to a sinking, block of concrete. And it was clear to me in that moment. And then I have been sober since that day. So that was February 3rd, 1999.
And what did you do with the pills? Did you throw them away? Did you go into withdrawal? What was the experience?
Oh, no. I tossed I cold turkeyed everything. And by the way, I only had a handful of pills at that point from her. I got rid of them. And I literally called, weirdly enough. It's so funny how this works. The only sober person I knew. Which is crazy to say out loud.
Tell me.
I only knew one sober person.
Uh-huh. And who was it?
Richard L.
He is the man. He is a
good friend of mine. And
a genius, one of the funniest. Genius. And I loved watching you guys on TV together when I was a kid.
And I called him, and I said, I'm in trouble. And he said, okay. And I said, I'm afraid to walk into a room by myself. I feel like I'm just going to be I'm well known, and I'm embarrassed, and whatever. And I said it would really help if I could go with somebody who also is well known, and I just wouldn't feel like such a target. And he said, phone rang 10 minutes later, and somebody called me, and she took me to a meeting, and I've been sober since that day. And I need to say this because, the Target thing, when you're a public person and you admit flaws and foibles and vulnerability on a public level, regardless of the fact that it is an anonymous program,
mm-hmm.
there is currency. We all love when famous people admit their flaws and foibles and vulnerabilities publicly, and we really love it when they struggle and often stumble. There's perverse pleasure in the tabloid society that we live in.
Right, watching a celebrity fuck up gives the normal person some sort of satisfaction. Right.
And when you are in recovery, which is supposed to be an anonymous program, and you know that it's not going to be anonymous because you are by nature going to be talked about. It's just, and it will always be a little bit of a struggle for me. I've certainly now very much outed myself.
Right.
I outed myself when I first got sober. I didn't, and I was very concerned that I would be betrayed and my anonymity would be broken.
So what changed?
It wasn't. So that changed.
You trusted. You started to trust the people in the program, the people around you.
Then all of a sudden, I was like, "Oh, okay. So they're not betraying my trust here." But I outed myself in a national magazine because I was doing an interview for a woman's magazine about one of the books for children that I write.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember we were talking, and I was saying how much better my life was, how much better my relationship with my daughter was, my husband, my family. And she just very casually said, "Well, what do you attribute that to?" Not digging.
Right.
Not goading me into anything.
Just asking the question.
And I remember she asked the question. I remember I looked at my daughter, and then I looked at the woman, and I said, "Well, I think primarily it's because I've been sober for 2 years." And at that moment, her eyes bugged out of her head like Roger Rabbit. And I said, "Look, I'm not going to talk about that, but I'm going to tell you that the result of the sobriety is just clarity and connection and relationships, and they're better." And so I outed myself before a tabloid got a hold of it.
Well, recently in October, you did that big People story on your on the opioid addiction.
Yes, except it was not intended. It was, first of all, not a cover story to begin with. It was a profile when Halloween was coming out in the theaters. Me at home with my dog and my people and the movie and sobriety. Because, of course, sobriety is the most important part of my life.
Well, it makes everything else possible.
But it was the article, the story was not my sober life. It was just my life, and I'm sober. And so then they came back to me and said, "We would like to expand this, where we need to talk about it a little more." And I did so.
I think that with this opioid pandemic and with everyone dying from this fentanyl being in everything now, I think people like you coming out and talking about how you figured out how to live without it is incredibly inspiring, which is also one of the reasons that I really wanted you to come on Dopey and lay it down a little bit, lay it down about your recovery, because it gives our show validation, but also it carries the message that somebody as accomplished as you had struggled and learned how to get past it, and I think that's a really good message.
And I appreciate that, but the truth is, I came on your show as a dope fiend. I appreciate that a public person can, talk publicly about a personal issue, and that someone else. Do I have time to tell you one more tiny story?
Yeah, we've got plenty of time.
I don't know how long do we do this?
We do it until you're like, Dave, I don't want to do this anymore. And then we stop doing it.
Oh, I love that. So here's a crucial part of this. So many people will say, well, I can't relate to her. She's, wealthy and she's,
gorgeous and brilliant. And,
yeah.
Come on.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I can understand why people would, even though I feel like I've spent my life trying to have people relate to me. I write books for children, specifically with relating to children, how you feel. But ultimately, I can understand how someone will go, I don't relate to her so much. So here's the deal. I had a moment of clarity, but prior to that moment of clarity, somehow I got a issue in January 1999, Esquire magazine, with an article written by a writer named Tom Chiarella that was called Vicodin, My Vicodin. And in it, in the preface of the article, and in fact, hold on.
What are you doing?
Found it. So here is the opening of the article that he wrote.
Vicodin, My Vicodin.
I lose my checkbook once a week. I have no idea where my passport is or my birth certificate or the photographs from my wedding. I can't remember where I spent last Christmas, but I know where all my Vicodin are. When I read that...
Keep going. I like this.
I'm sorry?
I like this. Keep going.
But I know where all my Vicodin are. There's one Vicodin in the breast pocket of my black suit, 6 in my desk drawer at work, 2 in my golf bag, and 33 in the bottle in my medicine cabinet. There's a half of one in the bottle of Tylenol in the downstairs bathroom, 4 in the glove box of my black car, 6 in my white car, and 1 on top of a paint can in the basement. Last week, my wife vacuumed a Vicodin off the floor of our bedroom. She told me about it at dinner that night. She said, if you dig that out, she said, we'll know you have a problem. I haven't. Not yet. Vicodin, My Vicodin, is a wet pleasure if there ever was one. And it continues to go on. And when he said, I know where all my Vicodin are, I thought, oh, someone else is just like me.
Right.
They hide their Vicodin all over the house.
And even on the Vicodin, they know where each Vicodin is, which takes some doing.
That obsession and commitment to the opiate made me realize I wasn't alone. And I read that article in January of 1999, and I guarantee you that man outing himself in an article in a national magazine that you know and I know, that the minute he hit send or mailed it to his editor, because it was in 1999, yeah. Was the internet invented by then?
I think it was, but only Al Gore was using it.
Okay.
That was a joke.
Hold on, fuck off. Sorry, I'm
it's okay.
trying to talk to my computer at the same time. In that moment, Tom's life was going to change because he was never going to be able to get them from doctors again. His wife was going to know everything. You know what I mean? His boss was going to know. His family was going to know. His friends were going to know. And his gift to me, a woman he's never met, he made me realize that there was something really fucked up about a love affair with an opiate. And that was something I needed to look in the mirror.
Right. But that couldn't have been the thing that brought you to your knees on this thing, right?
Exactly. So that was January 1999, and I went to my friend February 2nd, 1999. And, you know, that honesty or that looking in the mirror and going, oh, wow, okay, that's who you are. You got to do something. his ultimate. Okay, I'm going to shut up.
I have to say, because I don't know when you're going to get off the phone or whatever, but I just love your work so much. Like, I have to say that Trading Places was probably my favorite movie ever made, and it's such a genius movie. It's just a compelling story. Like it's like a comedy, but it's so meaningful, and nobody makes movies like that anymore. And and A Fish Called Wanda, and you were in these amazing movies that don't get made anymore. And it's like, you did some cool stuff.
Listen, I've done more cool stuff in my life than I ever thought I would do. But you have to understand something. None of those cool things, really had anything to do with me. I mean, did I show up and do the work? Of course. What I'm saying is, sobriety is mine. Like, that I earned. The rest of it, they hired me. They thought I was cute. I did a good job.
You were funny, though.
Was it funny? It was cute. Oh, that's all great. But you see, the books I write come from my brain.
Right. But so does your performance, though. Your performances came from your brain.
I know, but it's a performance.
My wife, her best friend went to, we have kids the same age. Her best friend and us, and they were in the same. I have a girl. Well, my girl is 8. I have one girl who's 8, and I have another girl who's 8 months. And when they were both 5, they were in first grade, and her best friend goes to be the mystery reader in their first grade class, and she reads "Is There Really a Human Race?" Which is one of your children's books, and it killed the room. The kids loved it. And you really do make a difference to these people, and you really get to. I mean, you live a life beyond the wildest dreams, and I just think it's really cool.
My best creative thing are the books that I write, because the whole thing they come from my head. Like, I think of them, I write them, and then my partner Laura Cornell illustrates them. But they start with me in my head. And this is a book, Is There Really a Human Race? Because my little boy, Tom, came home one day from school, and he's a very literal kid. And he had tears in his eyes. And I remember I was like, Tom, what's going on? And he looked at me and he went, is there really a human race? And what he was asking me was, are you fucking kidding me? This is a race? All of this school and friends, it's all a race, and you didn't mention it? That life is nothing but a competition? And I felt so bad for him. And so I wrote this book that day, Is There Really a Human Race? Which is about competition. But in the middle of the book, the little boy who's asking the question to his mom, is there really a human race? Is it going on now all over the place? The little boy gets really freaked out. Is this just like a big dash to the end? And are we all going to crash into each other? Is the whole world going to kind of crash? And then the mom puts her hand up and comforts the kid. And this is what the mom says to the boy. And this is what I am saying to you and to the Dopey Nation. And thank you for having me on your show. This is what the mom says to the boy to calm him down. Makes me cry every time. Sometimes it's better not to go fast. There are beautiful sights to be seen when you're last. Shouldn't it be that you just try your best? And that's more important than beating the rest. Shouldn't it be looking back at the end that you judge your own race by the help that you lend? So, take what's inside you and make big, bold choices. And for those who can't speak for themselves, use bold voices and make friends and love well and bring art to this place and make the world better for the whole human race. God bless you all.
Thank you, Jamie. Have a good night. Thank you.
Take care.
Take care. So how crazy is that? Jamie Lee Curtis coming on Dopey after fucking 3 years. It's amazing. What is also amazing is that since Chris died, my friend Sam has been Sam had listened to Dopey since the beginning, and I met Sam at rehab many years ago. He's on the phone, actually. Let's just get to that. Sam, what's up?
Hey, Dave. Hey, Dopey Nation.
When did we meet?
We met in 2003, Dave. March 23rd, 2003.
Wow.
Delray Beach, Florida.
Yeah, we were in treatment in a place called Renaissance, and to punish me, they made me stay in Sam's room. It was something like that, right?
For some reason, yeah. Like, I think that they had singled me out as a troublemaker, and you were already a well-established troublemaker. So I think they were trying to set us up for maybe a possible relapse and a possible, leaving against medical advice. I think they were really trying to set us up, is what I believe now.
Well,
that we were going to do something stupid, and then they could, swoop in and say, "We told you so," because you're a grandiose motherfucker, and you're trying to run the show, but you can't do that anymore because you've had so many chances, and you fucked every one of them up. So now you have to do what we're telling you because we're the experts. And just do what we say.
Well, whatever the case, that was a long time ago. And Sam and I wound up hanging out most every day in Florida. We worked on a moving truck. We fucking went to the beach. We would drive to different places and eat incredible Floridian Cuban food. And then Sam and I have been in and out of touch for many years. For it was 2003 for 15 years. And when me and Chris started doing Dopey, I turned Sam onto it, and Sam kind of helped out. He wrote us a press release, and he was in and out listening, and he'd always give me criticism. And then when Chris died, Sam was, you felt bad that Chris died.
Oh, it was horrible. Yeah, I lost it. And I think just like everybody else that had been listening to the show, although I was connected to you, I felt that really deep connection to Chris. I felt like he was a true brother in recovery. He was just a classic smart guy, but also an insane dumb shit, and who had just all the really the qualities that I would look for in a friend. And I think that's pretty. I can probably safely say that that's how everybody viewed him too.
Well, Sam had he quoted the expression that me and Chris were the smart. What was the expression you always said?
You guys were the smartest dumb guys in podcasting.
Yeah, we were the smartest idiots of podcasting. And Sam always pitched in, and then when Chris died, Sam pitched in more, and he kind of would listen to this stuff and give good criticism, and then Sam relapsed and disappeared, and you want to talk that through for a second? Are we giving too much backstory to the fact that you're in the hospital now?
No, I don't think so, because this was only just last August. But nice tease on the hospital. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about that relapse. So for the last 3 years, almost like clockwork, I have relapsed on alcohol, primarily vodka, and it was just one of those things. It was the urge in the middle of the afternoon or mid-morning, and it was because I was feeling great and the sun was out and I was happy to be alive, or I felt incredibly lonely and sad. It didn't matter what the emotion was that triggered the relapse, but I found myself at the liquor store, really planning to dig in deep to from a 5 to say 12 day drinking binge. And so that was my last one in late August. And that's exactly what it was. I think this one was an 8-day relapse on vodka. And it kicks my ass every time. All those, it was sort of 6 months, like clockwork, I would relapse. I would start to feel better. My self-esteem would come back and my insecurities would go away. And then I would just fuck it all up. I would totally sabotage. And when I say that it just wreaked havoc, is that it really did. I would throw up so many times, and I just felt like I was throwing up. My entire esophagus was coming up. There was no blood, but it was just a really brutal time. And the coming down from it, after I decided that it was over, was just brutal. and I should have been hospitalized for those. I really think I should be on Librium or whatever,
Right.
So
Well,
dangerous time in itself.
My point with the whole thing was that when he came out of the relapse, he was like, Sam was like very shamed and like felt like shit. And he also knew that like he was supposed to be helping with the show and he had disappeared and blah, blah, blah. And when he came
Let you down.
Well, it wasn't such a big letdown. We hadn't worked together that long. And, addicts relapse sometimes and alcoholics relapse sometimes. And like, what the fuck am I going to do? Anyway, the point is that when you settled in after the relapse, you were like, I really want to work on the show. And you said that you thought working on the show would help in your recovery, which I liked,
And it has proven to do so because, as you know, and I don't know if Dopey Nation knows it or if we've talked about this, but I just really don't enjoy meetings. I first got sober in 1994 and went to treatment and subsequent, hundreds and hundreds of meetings and really found them useful there and did step work in 1994 and 95 and had 6 years of sobriety. And then I relapsed and then I had another chunk of 6 years where same thing, just went to a ton of meetings. I lived in a men's sober living environment and went to, a meeting every day for 6 months. And so I feel like I've done my share. I just find them less useful than other people do. And so I've been working with you, Dave, on Dopey. I have recovery staring me in the face. I do talk to a addict in recovery every day. I do the majority of the things that are suggestions. I just don't go to the meetings.
Right. And I think that like, Sam has been very helpful in like making the show flow and giving me feedback and dealing with my insanity of anxiety about the show and what's happening and what's not happening. And also just giving me an outlet to talk about it because nobody else wants to fucking talk about Dopey every day. And luckily Sam has some kind of interest in it. Now, so we were chugging along and doing some work and blah, 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 when all of a sudden Sam kind of disappears. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I was sure he had relapsed. And before Sam relapsed on alcohol all the time, Sam was a bad, crack addict, cocaine addict. And you never know what the fuck is going to happen. But Sam kind of
never know.
Sam went on some trip to Joshua Tree and he came back with the flu. And then
this is over Christmas.
Yeah. And then he was kind of in and out, right? You were like, and I was certain that you had relapsed, because you were doing stuff. You were doing stuff that was like uncharacteristic of you, and I always have Chris's death staring me in the face now, and everyone's like, well, why didn't you know this, and why didn't you know that, and here you're like,
why didn't you confront him earlier? All that business, right?
I did though. I did confront him the same way I confronted you. Like, I'm willing to say, what's going on? Are you using? But if somebody says no, what else am I going to fucking do?
Right. And I'm on the other coast. It's not like you can, pop in and, give me your own personal welfare check,
Oh, whatever. I mean, like,
take my word for it.
The only person that I could really accuse of using and know that they actually were using, even if they said they weren't, was Todd. Every time Todd told me he wasn't using, I knew he was lying. But I mean, Todd was always using, so it's easy to know he was lying. But it turned out that Sam got really sick. Why don't you tell the Dopey Nation what the fuck happened to you? And Sam's lying you're lying in a hospital bed now, right?
Yeah, I'm currently telling this tale from the third floor of the Surge Med wing of Ventura County Medical Center. And this is my 9th day in the hospital. I came, from what I am told, really close to dying. And that every professional that I've seen has said this, the best... I will never regret this decision to come into the emergency room. So anyway, that's where I am now, and I'll back it up and start with where Dave was. So over Christmas, after Christmas, I went to Joshua Tree with some friends and family, and I started getting sick. I started getting this respiratory thing and feverish, and I thought I had just a cold. So I treated it with just over-the-counter meds, Alka-Seltzer, cold medicine, Theraflu. Those are my go-to things. And 7 days later, I started to feel better. And so I just went about my business. I came back, Dave. I came back in the fold. I don't know if you remember. There was a window.
Yeah, I remember.
There was like a week where I was feeling pretty good. And then I just got hit. Then I got hit by a freight train. So what happened is I got the flu. And then that flu sort of was I got – what happened is I got pneumonia. So there was sort of a latent bacteria of pneumonia that was festering and building on top of the flu that I was recovering from. So that hit me like a ton of bricks. I had high fevers, really bad cough, shortness of breath, and it was a really crazy experience. So I felt horrible for a week, and it was really hard for me to talk on the phone because I have shortness of breath. And Dave would call, and sometimes I would answer, and other times I would just keep the conversations really short. And he was concerned about me, and all the while, and fair enough, because you knew my pattern for the last 3 years. That every 6 months I would relapse, and I was right on target. Right, Dave?
Yeah, man. It was 6 months later.
Yeah, it was 6 months almost to the day. So anyway, I get I feel like shit, and I was just really operating on the hopeful plan of wishful thinking that every day, every morning, I was going to wake up and I was going to be fine, but I just wasn't. So a week into
Not to
illness,
mention though, you smoked cigarettes through the whole thing, right?
I am a smoker. I was a smoker, and I would smoke. I was smoking fewer cigarettes, but yeah, for sure, I was still smoking, as asshole addict smoking addicts do. They smoke cigarettes. That's it, through illness or whatever.
I smoked cigarettes through every lung ailment I ever had.
Yeah.
So I mean, I could relate. I'm just saying, like, I'm sure that was part of the flu turning into pneumonia and the pneumonia not dissipating.
No, it certainly didn't help matters.
Right.
And it never does. It doesn't help anything ever. It's probably the single worst thing that you can do besides, IV drugs and drinking alcoholically, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's right up there. Smoking cigarettes, there is no upside to smoking tobacco. So anyway, just wasn't getting better. Went to the urgent care. Saw the doctor, was diagnosed with pneumonia, and he sent me away with a pretty high dose of a 5-day course of antibiotics, an inhaler of albuterol, and some cough syrup. That was a 5-day course. After those 5 days, absolutely nothing happened. I thought that I just needed a couple more days, and again, with a wishful thinking that I was going to get better. So that was 2 weeks ago, this Sunday. And that the course of antibiotics ran out. Then I had a really gnarly experience on Tuesday where I couldn't catch my breath for about 2 hours, and I was just about to call the ambulance to come get me and take me to the hospital, but I wrote it out, being stubborn, being just ridiculous. That's when I should have gone, but it wasn't until 2 days later that I actually was able to take a shower, clean myself up, get in the car, and drive myself to the emergency room of this hospital where I currently am. And so, to cut this story short, to not make a long story short, but just cut it short, what I have been diagnosed with is a condition called pulmonary empyemas. And they are these sort of, for lack of a better
Sounds
word,
like a delicious Mexican food.
It's very funny. So that my family loves saying that word because everybody gets it wrong, except my nephew's girlfriend is a nurse, and she's the one that sort of corrects us all. So it's empyema, and what they are, they're in between the outer lung wall and the rib cage is this space, which was really hardly a space at all, but they call it a pleural space. And I've learned so much medically, I feel very smart. And so it's called the pleural space. And in that tiny little space where the lung expands and contracts and hits the rib cage, these I had such bad pneumonia that usually the bacterial pneumonia is able to, get absorbed into the lungs and then throughout the body and dissipated and excreted. And otherwise, then that's how it goes away in typical pneumonia. But mine was so bad and so thick in my lungs that it passed through the membrane of my lung sac and then into that pleural space against the rib cage and formed these sort of pockets of bacteria that wall themselves off and become these little abscesses, and in my case, very large abscesses. So, which is nasty.
Yeah.
Which is really nasty. They're not supposed to be there. So I got to the hospital and Thursday, and then Friday of last week, I had a procedure where they put a tube through my ribs into my rib cage, and have 4 sort of straws that go out throughout the largest one of these pus pockets, and they've been draining it ever since. And so if you can imagine a space that is not really a space at all, that has 1.5 liters of bacterial infected fluid, has been drawn out so far.
So they're just fucking draining this nasty shit out of your lungs for this week.
That's correct. Actually, yesterday they did take the tube out of the drain mode, and they put in medicine, which they call clot busters. So they actually use similar medicine for people that have had strokes, or if you have aneurysms, it's a blood thinner. So they blasted it with 100 milliliters of this medicinal fluid that breaks up the last pesky, hard chunks of pus that are like nasty, nasty scabs. And so that's worked.
And now you're on the mend. And since this is not Dopey, the podcast about empanadas or whatever the fuck it is.
Empaimas. And I'm sorry, Dopey Nation, if that story went on way too rambly and way too graphic.
No, it's just, it is what it is. I think the interesting thing is that when you use drugs, most of the drugs were going right into your lungs anyway. And, you're a smoker. So, like, it just... I don't know. Whenever I have to be in the hospital or I have to be around my health, I start to think about all the things that I did to kind of fuck myself up. And when you were in this situation, all I could think of were, because Sam was a terrible crack smoker for a long time, and
a pot smoker for like 2.5 decades.
Exactly. So didn't it like remind you of all of the fucking damage that you had done? Like, here you are with a fucking tube jammed into your lungs through the ribs. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not even coming through your mouth. They're just fucking poke a fucking hole. And it just reminds me
through the rib cage, and it was brutal.
So it made me think about all the drugs that you probably did, and all of the the past relapses for many years have been alcohol based. What was the last time that you did drugs?
That takes us back to Florida, and our time there. And one thing that when you were talking about and sort of setting up that our introduction when we first met there, is one thing that I did want to say is that you were definitely my best friend when we were down there, and when you left, I had such resentment towards you, and it took me years to sort of get over that because I felt like you completely abandoned me.
I had to go. I had to fucking go, man.
I know you had to go and do your shit. Yeah.
I just couldn't stay there. I hated it there, and as much as I enjoyed like hanging out, I needed to get back to using drugs more than anything, but
that's what it was.
Well, no, but I didn't want to fucking live in Florida. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't going to stay there. I made that clear. It wasn't going to happen. But anyway, continue.
No, I didn't want to either. But I didn't have an option. I had to save as much money as I could to get me out of there and to whatever was going to come next. But so anyway, I think we both had a bunch of really funky jobs, recovery jobs in a really fucked up part of the world, and they weren't that easy to come by necessarily. So, but one of my half a dozen jobs that I had in my 14 months in Florida was selling Christmas trees.
Uh-huh. And we lived in one of like these rehab towns. We lived in Delray where there was like 15 rehabs there. And any place that you go to work, it's like all populated with people in and out of recovery. The coffee shop was called One Cup at a Time. It was fucking it was rehab land, you know.
It was. And that's right where they shot,
Dope Sick Nation.
Dope Sick Nation. Yeah. So it's all right there. And it's really, it was a huge recovery world when we were there, and I'm sure it's only gotten larger.
Right.
Which it just has the potential to be just that much more fucked up, as we all know, and for things to go completely wrong. So anyway, I got this job. I think it was like December 1st, really. They were just sort of starting this Christmas tree lot. There was a nice young couple. They were younger than I was that were, managing and running the lot. They hired me on the spot, and it actually turned out to be a really great job because everybody, obviously and if you ever bought a tree, you're sort of excited to go to the Christmas tree lot and pick out the perfect tree for your family. And so everybody was in a good spirit, and everybody was really generous. So I made actually really good rehab money when I was working there. I'd get like a $4 an hour salary, and then I'd walk away with $100 in tips. So it was great. I loved using the chainsaw, giving everybody a fresh cut. I'd jam the tree through the netting machine, and then I was getting really fit too. And then I'd take care of the tree and throw it on the station wagon, tie it off, and it was great. So I had that job for, the entire month of December up until, Christmas. So the last night, obviously, is Christmas Eve. And I work a big, giant New Year's Eve shift. And one of the kids that I worked with I didn't know if he was in recovery, and I didn't think so. And I just was feeling really sad because this job was coming to an end. I was nowhere near any of my family. You were gone. I had just maybe a couple, people that I could call friends and could, sort of trust. And that was it. And so at the end of the shift, I asked this kid if he could find me some crack, because that was the night that I was going to relapse, Christmas Eve. I just decided that I'm just that sad.
Crackmas Eve for you.
Crackmas Eve. Yeah. And I felt like I deserve it. If I'm the guy that gets to do this, it's not really a relapse because it's Christmas Eve and I'm alone. I was just making every excuse under the sun. So anyway, I gave him $100.
So it's not a relapse because it's Christmas Eve.
Right.
Okay.
Well, that was my rationale. I'm an asshole and an idiot.
It was like your Christmas present to you.
It was completely my Christmas present to myself. So I gave the kid $100. He said, yeah, he did. He said that he could, if I gave him $100, he could meet me back at my apartment, which was in Boynton Beach. So I rode my bike. I only had a bike. I didn't have a driver's license. That's a really funny story because like 3 of the other jobs that I had involved driving.
Yeah.
So but we can talk about that later at a later date. And so anyway, I rode my bike home and I got a pint of vodka and then some of that Cisco drink that I think I told about, which is like that crazy fruity colored wine drink that knocks you off your ass. And so anyway, the kid came over about an hour later. He had $100 worth of crack, and it was real crack. And I made a crack pipe out of foil, smoked that up, didn't leave my room for 2.5 days through Christmas, didn't make any phone calls to my parents or family. That was a horrible experience. One of the saddest moments of my life. And that was the last time I used crack or any heavy drug.
And why do you suppose in all of these years with all of these relapses that you haven't picked up a drug again? Like why do you suppose it transitioned just to alcohol-based relapses?
Well, I'm not a huge thumper, big book thumper or, sayer of slogans.
Right.
But I think that like the obsession for that specific drug, for crack and powder cocaine, was lifted by the grace of God.
Oh, come on.
Right? There's no other reason.
Oh, give me a break. Come
on.
But how did it? But it got replaced with the obsession to drink clear liquids that get you fucking obliterated.
Well, but it wasn't crack. So your question was, why do I think over the years of then the following, 15 years over the dozen relapses that I've had, it's just been alcohol, and I haven't gone out to the streets looking for crack.
So you say it's the grace of God, go you.
Yeah, and you think that's really funny because you know how I hate so much, how I hate the saying so much.
Yeah. Well, I think
why you're disputing me.
No, I just think it's fascinating because I think you explain yourself well because you're a crackhead, and when you get super drunk, you can't really decide what you're going to do. It's kind of just going to happen. So the fact that it didn't happen, I think your explanation is totally well taken, and it's great. Last time when you have your relapses on alcohol, the last time you had it, is there even a fleeting thought about cocaine or crack or anything?
Never. No, it's about setting myself up for that day and then safely securing alcohol for the next day, whether that's through a taxi, or am I going to be okay, but like on the morning of day 2, to sort of sober up enough and feel like I'm not a danger to anybody on the road. It's sort of clinical, how I'm going to secure the alcohol. Because all I'm doing this for, Dave, is what it seems like is just escape. I just want to escape. Every 6 months, I just want to stick my head in the ground. But I wish it could have been that simple. So the alcoholic equivalent is just passing out, getting as fucked up as fast as I can and passing out, and staying passed out and blacked out until I can't do it anymore.
And what's the thing? What's the thing that makes it so you can't do it anymore?
It's really the throwing up and the wear and tear on the body. I mean, because by days 5, 6, and 7, I can barely, take a drink without throwing it up.
Right.
So I'll throw up just so then I can do another shot.
Right.
It's really disgusting.
Right.
Like in the throes of it, when it's that bad, it is so ugly.
Right.
It's disgusting.
I think it's also
painful.
It's also interesting to me. Oh yeah, throwing up on dope for some reason isn't painful. Throwing up on dope, it's like this. I always enjoyed it because you felt like this nausea, and then you'd throw up and you'd feel better. Like I remember, like when I would do dope. In the beginning, how much I looked forward to throwing up, or like if I'd be in the car and I was high on dope, I would literally, it reminded me of that Monty Python in the Meaning of Life. You ever see that movie?
Mm-hmm.
And where the fat guy comes into the restaurant and he's like, "Get me a bucket, I want to throw up," guy, Mr. Creosote. And he just
and then doesn't the waiter come in? But sir, just one more. It's wafer thin.
Yeah. Well, he winds up, he would open his mouth and it would be like a fucking jet stream of vomit. And it was just very casual vomiting.
Right.
And that's what vomiting on dope was like too. Like, I'd get in the car and I'd feel nauseous and I would just sort of open the door and I'd stick my head out and I'd just vomit like that. It was
just have a casual puke.
Yeah, all the time, and then you puke. Or I'd even when I was doing dope, I would, my stomach would feel so shitty that I would just literally, I was like a fucking bulimic girl. I would go into the bathroom and stick my fingers down my throat and puke, and then I'd feel better, Yeah. Like it was a real, nausea came a lot with heroin for me.
That'd be a good sort of self-help series that if you did, it's called Casual Puking with Dave.
How do you figure?
I just think that would be sort of a funny bit about, don't get all worked up if you're a junkie and you're puking. Let's make it casual.
I have a feeling that most junkies don't. One thing that I always did was I ate Tums all the time, and I would often go to health stores and buy this papaya enzyme, which is delicious. Yeah. I don't know if you've ever had papaya enzyme. It's fucking...
I have not.
It is amazing. And if anyone in the doping... See, we should get papaya enzyme to sponsor the show, because if anyone in the doping nation has an upset stomach, go to fucking GNC and get some fucking papaya enzyme. They're delicious. Delicious.
What do you do? Just mix it with water and...
No, you just chew it, and it's like it makes your stomach feel better, and it's like candy. It's amazing.
Is it like a chewy candy?
It's like it's almost like it's like a chewable vitamin, but it's all papaya. It's great. You should get some. When you get out of the hospital, you should get yourself some papaya enzyme.
Well, I'm looking for anything that's gonna, make me feel better, on the inside for sure.
Dude,
I will try it.
Get some fucking papaya enzyme. So we're at that magical point of the show where we reflect back on the past, thanks to good old Mr. Wooster out of Boston. Now, as a lot of you probably know, this Wooster is a savior to the show. And it's also really interesting to me. He's a savior to the show because he didn't know that the This American Life piece came out when he sent me his Chopped and Screwed series. And what Wooster did I say that right? Wista? I think they said it's Wista.
I thought it was Worcester.
Well, I don't know. I'm not from Boston. I do my best
I believe it's Worcester because the town is Worcestershire. Or what is it?
I think it's spelled out as Worcester, as like Worcester. What is the sauce?
Worcestershire.
Yeah, that's what it's written out as, Worcestershire, but they pronounce it as Worcester.
Worcester.
But I'm not around it enough to really know. Chris is...
And I'm from the West Coast.
So you have no fucking clue.
I have absolutely no idea.
Anyway, this man loved Dopey, and he cut out 10 episodes called Dopey, Chopped, and Screwed, and it kind of highlights a lot of the stupid shit that me and Chris talked about on the show, and kind of a lot of the idiosyncratic stuff, and a lot of me being mean to Chris. But he sent it to me, I think 2 weeks before the This American Life, or maybe the week that the This American Life piece came out. And when I heard it, it just, I listen to it all the time. I listen to it for fun on my commute because it reminds me of being with Chris, and it reminds me of, the magic that Dopey was in the first place. And I think that for anybody who's just starting to listen, to get a little chopped and screwed is it's a real taste. You know what I'm saying? Sam, you there?
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, yes. I've been actually thinking. I've listened to all of them. I've gone to YouTube because Worcester has uploaded them there, and I've listened to all of them. And I think that which episode are you going to play tonight?
We're going to play episode 3, which is the Miseducation of Chris, which is one of the best ones because
it's my favorite for sure.
Because it just highlights how fucking ridiculous Chris was and how little he knew about everything.
It's completely is in line with Chris being the dumbest smart guy, in podcasting, you included. But really just as much as he knew about, chemical makeups of every drug on the planet, the fact that he didn't know certain words or sayings just was so classic. That's one of the most endearing qualities. And this Worcester really selected, in his, Chopped and Screwed episodes, the best of the best of that specifically.
I think this is top notch. So I don't want to talk about it anymore. Let's just, here it is, Chopped and Screwed, episode 3. And I love the title, The Miseducation of Chris. If anybody out there in the Dopey Nation is good at cutting up audio, why don't you hit us up? We will hand over the Dopey archives to you, and you can create a little audio collage. What? You want to do something with those one-liners?
So this is a Chopped and Screwed episode.
That's what we'll call it, the Chopped and Screwed episode. What's wrong with you? Do you think you're so perfect? You make no sense. You can't pronounce most words. You don't make any sense half the time.
Did we already do this? I think we did this.
You did.
Some stick.
Okay, we don't need to. Okay. Chris recently learned the word shtick today.
Shtick with an H.
For hours he was saying, Dave, we'll just do some stick. Listen.
This is the Swartz.
The what?
The Swartz. Or the Swartz. The Swartz, from Spaceballs. It's prepared to vape yogurt.
Oh, you're such an asshole.
It really is, dude.
You do this on purpose,
I
right?
swear to God, it's the Swartz From I'm gonna fucking show you,
dude.
What?
It's not the Swartz. It's the Schwartz. You fucking goy.
Look at it.
You can't say shtick and you can't say Schwartz. What's wrong with you?
What did I say earlier today?
Schwartz.
What did I say earlier today
Dude.
that you didn't like? I was going to lure somebody back to my apartment.
He was going to lure somebody. It's like,
Dude, my friend was actually talking about it.
I'm going to lure someone back to my room. I hate the way Chris pronounces the word room.
That's not a
Doesn't
real thing.
it have 2 O's?
That's not. When they loft a bed, they use it to make more room. So the loft, it'll be like right near the ceiling.
How can there be room and coffee and
Did I say it
room
right?
in the apartment? No, you said it wrong. But it's the same use of the word room. Chris is going to be rocking back and forth any second.
I need the food.
like
we need our
rocks.
aloo gobi.
Makes me excited.
It's aloo gobi.
Aloo gobi. We got some Indian food on the way.
Listen, if there are any Indians in our listening audience, can you please let us know if it's pronounced gobi or gobi?
What is it called? Samosa what?
Samosa chat.
Do you think the samosa chat existed before champagne and orange juice?
That's a mimosa, you dumb
Oh, that's
fuck.
and I slide it underneath,
You
right?
slid it.
I slid it in. I slid
You just
it in.
slid it.
So I slid it in underneath the divider. He looked at the bars of chocolate he got, and one of them is like this dark chocolate with like peppers in it, like cayenne pepper or something.
Dude, it says spiced chili.
Spiced
It doesn't say canine peppers. Is that the way you pronounce
Let me see.
cayenne?
It doesn't even do nothing, huh?
Doesn't do anything, though. Here we are.
On the Lower East Side of Manhattan.
You know, you're supposed to say on the Lower East Side.
Oh, is it on?
Yeah.
It feels like there's a lot more energy, a lot more reverb. I don't know if I'm using that correctly.
You're not.
What is it? Isn't a Yeti like a Middle Eastern guy or something?
Is that a joke?
I swear to God, I'm not joking.
It amazes
I know.
me. It amazes me how much Chris knows and then how much he doesn't know.
I don't know anything about the different strands of weed.
They're strains.
The lethality of intravenous drug use.
Intravenous?
Intravenous? Am I saying that wrong too?
Dude, that's your like bread and butter. Intravenous.
Intravenous.
Is that a word?
No, I don't know. Intravenous drug use.
Now, I was going to ask very banal questions about the nature.
Banal.
That's pronounced banal.
Is it? It's a Goya, you know what I mean? And so I
What's
ate
Goya?
Goya's who makes it. Goya. That's who makes
That's
it.
a Spanish company.
Oh, is it? Maybe it's not Goya.
No.
Maybe there's a J in there. Maybe it's Goya.
Maybe it's Jua. It is not Goya.
Kind of like he's like a handsome man, but he was overweight, and he would take nunchucks and like practice nunchucks all the time. Nunchucks. He would, he fucking practiced nunchucks. Then there was the painted face lady who.
Did you think they were called nunchucks?
What did I say?
Like my face is numb from
nunchucks.
the anesthetic?
I don't know.
Nunchucks. N-U-N.
Me and this other kid, his name was Jeremy, would... Jeremy, yeah. We would make the food.
Not Jeremy. Jeremy.
Jeremy.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Unless his name is Jeremy.
Maybe it was Jeremy.
Nobody's name is Jeremy. His name is probably Jeremy. Anyway, continue.
Or how about when that other guy emailed us and he thought Jeremy was part of the show?
Yeah.
He's like, hi, Dave, Chris, and Jeremy.
That's like one of
So
the...
he clearly listened to one episode.
His name is Jeremy.
Jeremy, I saying it right.
You said Jeremy
I
again.
saying it right.
I'm saying it right.
And then I showed up, and I was kind of deterring to Dave because, like, deferring to Dave. I'm going straight to Habab.
Did you say shish kebab?
Habab.
Chabad. With a D at the end.
Habad. Yeah, they say no, and then they talk about Habab. And anyways, I talked about...
Can you not disrespect it by calling it Habab?
Habab.
It's like crazy disrespect. You call it Habab.
How do you say it?
Chabad.
Habad. Okay, so...
Would you talk to me
I
about
say,
it
like,
later?
is the tagliatelle good?
What's tagliatelle?
You know what tagliatelle is? Oh, my God.
No, I'm not from your tax bracket.
Oh, my God.
What's tagliatelle?
You want, like, a short rib tagliatelle. It's beautiful.
What is it?
It's a type of pasta.
Tagliatelle? I'm sure you're mispronouncing it.
Tagliatelle.
Well, you invite all your Facebook friends to like Dopey.
No, I invite certain ones.
Certain?
While it's coursing through my blood and I'm waiting for it to hit, it's not even the effects that I
Through
like.
your blood.
Yes, through my blood. Can we tell the Dopey Nation where to find them, or does that spoil anonymity?
Let's say you want Le Petit Écolier cookies.
Le Petit Écolier.
Ecolier.
I think it's a cure.
It's Ecolier. It means schoolboy.
I love Les Petits Cures.
It's Ecolier.
Like, this is classic rock now?
Classic. This is classic rock.
This is classic rock. We met at Abon Pain, whatever.
Abon Pan.
Abon Pan.
I need like some of those machatas.
They're called maracas.
Maracas.
It's a waffle waiting.
It's a
Waffleton.
it's a waffleetten. I do a little shtick, a little Japanese shtick. Okay. I say arigato, and I do stuff like that, you know? And they like that.
What, arigato?
No, you say arigato is how you say it. Arigato is an American thing.
Good job, Chris and Dave. Bravo.
Bravo.
My opinion
Did
is,
you really think it was bravo?
my opinion. Yeah,
Japanese
there you
stuff.
go, ragging on me for Francesca, and then you're
It's
beating up on
pronounced
it.
Francesca.
And then you're
What are some of the songs on there?
Some Lil Yachty and stuff.
I think it's
like
pronounced Lil Yachty.
Lil Yachty.
But they have Reese's peanut butter cups to
not
use
Reese's.
in lieu.
It's not Reese's.
In lieu,
It's Reese's.
It's Reese's peanut butter cups.
It's not Reese's.
They
it's
also have
Reese's.
arugula too on the side.
Dad, come here. Dad, come here. So we're at the supermarket. This has happened for a year already. We're at the supermarket, and he's like, "Oh, I see rugula." And I tell him,
arugula.
it's not rugula, it's rugula. It's a Jewish dessert, and he says, "No, Dave, it's arugula." I said, "Motherfucker, I'm Jewish and from New York. You're Christian and from Boston. You don't know what it's called."
Any English-speaking dope fiend could host your show, and all of the parenting either one of you incorrigible reprobates does is a
Reprobate.
reprobate. Are you sure it's not reprobates?
Reprobate.
We will elucidate the details behind the Dopey intern contest.
What's elucidate?
Make clear.
How can you say elucidate, but you don't know the word reprobate?
It's reprobate.
Reprobate is not a word. With a word for inhaling drugs?
Encephalate.
You say encephalate and elucidate, but you couldn't even say fucking combative. You were saying combative. And you can't say reprobate. Something's wrong with you.
Reprobate.
Just straight fentanyl.
Fentanyl.
So you are a caring person. Sometimes it gets clouded by a little bit of neuroticism, and you have a temper that flies out.
It's not neuroticism, it's neuroses.
The real reason is we're totally disorganized, and we just push
Disorganized?
Exactly.
Suboxone.
I think it's pronounced Suboxone.
I'm grinding.
You're not grinding.
I'm grinding. I'm ripping.
How did you say grinding? I am grinding.
Continue the list ad infinitum.
Ad infinitum.
Infinitum?
Infinitum.
Ad infinitum.
Do you know anything about Beat It?
No.
Beat It.
I know about Eat It.
What do you-
The Weird Al Yankovic.
You can't even pronounce Weird Al's name right.
Canada is a big country, guys, and homophobia. Canadian. But somebody who has the gestalt, the larger picture.
I think it's called
us,
gestalt.
Gestalt. You only need to get surgery if the muscle is teared beyond a certain point. So
I think it's torn.
No, that's old too. Read the most newest one.
The most recent.
if you could interview one fictional character who happens to be a drug addict and alcoholic, who would that be?
What fictional addict would I want to...
Fictional? Is that what I said? Fictional.
So the miseducation of Chris, I just, all this stuff, it makes me miss Chris. I love Chris, and I loved hanging out with him, and I loved making fun of him. I don't know what my favorite part of that. There's so many parts that I just love, and
everything in there was such gold. And I think the real beauty of it is neither one of you realized how golden you both were together. Like, you just didn't. You weren't trying. It was just a fucking natural,
Well, the best thing was, as nasty as I would get to him, he would laugh. Or like, and then when he would laugh, I would laugh. And it was very like infectious and real and fun. And
it was very fraternal. You guys were like brothers.
It was very, very much like that. Now, I want to read an email in the wake of the This American Life story. I've received way more emails than I expected to get, and they're all like, I got a lot of really good ones. I haven't gotten a lot of Dopey stories via email lately, and I always say that we could always use good Dopey stories. You know, I could use a good voicemail that's funny about drugs, and I have one, and we're going to play one. But first, I want to read this story because there's just something about it that this email. There's just something about it that really struck me. So I'm going to read it. Hi, Dave. I first heard Dopey when it aired in New York recently on This American Life. I work for a vintage showroom, and we always listen to NPR during the day. I wouldn't normally listen to a podcast about addiction, but I feel I could speak up and tell my boss why I wanted to turn it off. My dad is a heroin and other drugs and alcohol addict. From the start of the episode, I knew Todd was going to die. As someone familiar with addiction, I felt it in my gut from the first words he spoke that this episode could only end with him dying. Learning Chris had also passed away hit me in the gut and left me feeling sick for the rest of the day. My dad is Chris and Todd, and like so many other charismatic and smart men who have supportive families and potential and lives to live, but also have a hole inside of them that is never quite full. I usually can keep the pain of my dad's addiction deep inside me and rarely face the memories of my childhood. The NPR episode fucked me up. I was angry at them for allowing the listener to care for Chris and then dropping that he was dead. I was mad at Chris for dying, and I was scared because it's all so clear that this is something that could happen to my own dad. I have been cautiously listening to Dopey since then, although I can't listen to the episodes from when Chris was still alive. And it's funny, Sam, because I have people who tell me they can't listen after he died, and I have this woman telling me she can't listen before he died. You know, it's it's amazing.
You just never know.
Yeah. What speaks to who? Anyway, I find that addicts who don't stop using want to listen to the early ones, and then people who have to live with it want to listen to the later ones. That's what I find.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Anyway, although I know that death is a part of addiction and I can't hide from that, I'm not ready to face his stories. Although Dopey hurts me, which is tough, I also feel incredibly grateful for the opportunity to find a community where addiction is not stigmatized. It is not an easy thing to share with people that your dad is an addict. Most people don't understand what it means. There's a safety in the lingo and understanding of others who have seen that world. Although I am not an addict myself, I have witnessed a lot and worry about my own genetic predispositions to dependence. I don't really know why I'm writing you except to say I heard my father in your podcast and it scared me. But I appreciate what you're doing and am proud of you and rooting for you in your own recovery. I think your daughter is lucky to have a father who is open and dedicated to dealing with his addiction. It might be hard to talk about with her, but she will be proud of you for trying. Listening to Dopey has made me want to be more open with my dad, to say what always seemed to go unsaid, to call him out for the times he was high around me and tried to hide it, or when he sounded spaced out on the phone or disappears for weeks at a time. We barely have a relationship, only the seldom phone call out of my own self-preservation, and the reality is that I may lose him to his addiction. But maybe I should tell him about both my pain and love for him before it's too late. I don't think I can ever change my dad or his desire to be safe and healthy, but listening to Dopey does make me want to be straight with him rather than hiding. I'm so scared of calling him out, and it can make me feel crazy. Dopey has inspired me to look into going to Al-Anon. I needed that push to recognize how much his addiction affects me in my everyday life. Thank you for bringing addiction out in the open and showing that normal people can become addicts. Thank you for keeping on after Chris died, as hard as it must be. This all might not make sense or be linear, but I felt compelled to try and reach out. Kindly, Acadia. What do you think?
Wow. I think that's such a remarkable email.
Why?
I think that it came on the heels of the This American Life piece, right? You didn't know what was going to happen, who was going to listen, if anybody would connect with Dopey, who was not a regular listener, that was a regular listener to This American Life, but had never heard of the show. So this is what I think I just heard you read was really the power of your podcast, the power of the Dopey podcast, coupled with a really sincere, thoughtful, well-produced piece on This American Life that showcased the podcast that you and Chris created, the horror of addiction and what can be the end, what happened to Todd and Chris, and then this woman's relationship with her father. I was never the one that was not the addict. I was always the addict, so I didn't know what the fuck was going on with my siblings or my parents.
Right.
But to hear her so emotional and have had that piece really kickstart this emotion to her, that she can sort of start a healing.
Well, it's fucked up, Sam. It's really fucked up because you just made me realize something really interesting. When me and Chris started to do the show, we did it for all the addicts who could laugh at the dumb shit that we had done, and like everybody could relate to the time that you copped dope and, or like when you get arrested, you get pulled over and your car is full of methadone and pills and you come up with some story and how funny it is for some reason to us, right? And that was the show. That was the show. That's what kept the show moving, blah, 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 blah. And then Todd dies, and then all of a sudden I'm a little bit like this woman, and I've had an addiction kind of smacks me in the face in a way that I didn't expect to feel like it. And then Chris dies, and all of a sudden the whole show is a sober person affected by an addict's choice to use. And it changed the whole show. It's like, it's pretty crazy. And I mean, like, to be totally honest with you, though, the thing that really got me about this email was the fact that she's at work in New York, working in a store, and they're playing Dopey in the store. Or they're playing This American Life.
In a vintage store.
Yeah. I knew that would appeal to you. But just the idea that, like, me and Chris are doing shtick in somebody's store, it's just fucking cool. I love that. Anyway. It's a sad piece. Now, I love that.
I really hope she does. I hope she, can sort something out with her father. I know she really, I thought it was really well written, her email. I think she's a really sincere person who's, wants some resolution. And, I think she's sort of the quintessential person to connect with Dopey as a result of This American Life piece. I think that's, you reach one person, and that's freaking awesome.
Well, I think that we're reaching people like her, and then we're reaching like our people. We're reaching addicts who didn't expect to find this vein of addiction and real talk, and people who like have been through it and can laugh at it. Like we're finding our people, and we're finding our new people. And I think it's very beautiful. Now, because this is Dopey, we gotta fucking play a Dopey story, because what the fuck are we doing otherwise, Hello?
Yeah, what do you got?
I got this Evan, who's an amazing storyteller. He tells a little ecstasy story.
Oh, excellent.
You want to hear it?
I want to hear it. I think Dopey Nation wants to hear it.
I bet you they do.
Hey, what's up, Dopey Nation? This is Evan in Atlanta. I wanted to tell you a story about something that happened to me in the early 2000s. So I was in high school at the time, and went out to this raging house party. Everybody's real fucked up, and this dude shows up with a backpack full of these really strong pressed ecstasy pills. Everybody starts eating those, getting real high, feeling good, and I'm, hanging out at the party for a little while, and a group of some girlfriends of mine come over to me, and they're like, "Hey, we're going over to Michelle's house, in the next town over. Do you want to come with us?" And these are like, it was like four of the hottest girls in my grade at the time, and I was like, hell yeah. So hop in their car, drive to the next town over. Planning on hanging out at this girl's house. We get there, and the lights are all on at the house. And the girl whose house it is like, "Hey, just wait in the car. I gotta, make sure everything's cool inside." She goes inside, comes back out, and she's like, "Hey, my parents are awake. You can't stay here tonight. Like, you can't come over." And I'm like, "What the fuck?" I'm fucked up as hell. It's like kind of the middle of the night. This is before I had a cell phone. And I was like, well, what am I supposed to do? And she's like, I don't know, but I got to go. So I'm like, fuck. They all leave. thinking I'm going to get some action. Nah. So I'm like out by myself. I start walking around the neighborhood, and these pills, I guess it was MDA in them. I'm starting to get these like really crazy visuals. I'm walking around this suburban neighborhood, and all of a sudden I see a giant stop sign. The stop sign probably looks about like it's about like 8 feet tall stop sign with a traffic light on top of it. You know, there's balloons tied to this traffic light, and it looked like the cop and the dog from the old Cookie Crisp cereal commercials are like standing in the middle of the street, you know, swinging a fire hose around. There's fucking confetti exploding everywhere. And it looks like there's these little Dalmatian dogs with fire hats crossing the road. And I'm like, holy shit, you know, my mind is just being blown by these visuals. And I like walk up closer to it and realize it's like all a mirage created by a lawn sprinkler that's on in someone's front yard. So I'm like, whoa, what the fuck, you know? Continue walking around the neighborhood, just high as hell. Go across the street, and there's like a wooded area that there's a rappelling a ropes course. So there's a ladder going up into this tree. I climb up into the tree. I'm like laid out on this platform, seeing all kinds of crazy visuals. You know, just fucking gone on another level. As the night progresses, you know, like I start to come down a little bit. I'm getting cold. I think it was like in October or something. And, you know, I've got, you know, nothing but a t-shirt on. So I'm like, fuck, like I need to get some kind of shelter. And I walk over, you know, down the road a little ways. There's an elementary school, and I end up seeing one of those big recycling bins, and I'm like, fuck, that seems like a decent place to, you know, to get out of the cold. So I hop inside this recycling bin and close the top, and I pass out. I end up waking up to this dude. He's like, hey man, what are you doing in there? I was like, whoa, what's going on? And you know, he was the waste management dude. He was about to dump the bin that I was like asleep inside of. He was like, I almost dumped you. What, you know, why are you in there? I was like, oh, this girl, you know, I was supposed to stay at this girl's house. You know, she kicked me out or whatever. And he's like, well, just, you know, go ahead, go on, get out of there. So I get out of there. I'm still like freezing. You know, school still hasn't like started yet. And, I see like a group of school buses. I go hop on one of the school buses, and I'm chilling on there. I have like a bag of weed in my pocket, but I don't have a pipe or a lighter. And so I start rummaging through like the bus driver's stuff like up front, and I'm able to find a cigarette lighter and like a pen that I make a makeshift pipe out of. So I'm sitting there, you know, smoking herb at like, I don't know, 5 a.m. on this school bus. And, you know, I figure school's about to start soon. So after like probably an hour of chilling out there, I end up like walking back to the neighborhood where my friend lives and just sitting at the front of the neighborhood waiting, you know, for them to eventually like wake up and leave. So I'm just sitting out on the curb for like a few hours, and finally, yeah, maybe 4 hours later, you know, the car comes to the front of the neighborhood that's got, you know, my friends in it, and they're like, Evan, you know, how was your night? I was like, fucked up. How was your night? And they're like, it was actually kind of boring, you know, like we ended up just watching TV and you know, passing out. Yeah, I guess my night was a little more interesting than that, but that's pretty much the story. Y'all take care. Stay strong. Toodles.
I love that fucking voicemail. It totally reminds me of tripping at night as a kid. My favorite part though, like I love the hallucination with the confetti and the fire hose, and it turns out to be the sprinkler. But
and the Cookie Crunch characters.
Well, his allusion to Cookie Crisp is awesome, and that's what like really piqued my ears up. But the thing that gets me is when he finds himself on the school bus with weed and no pipe, and he makes himself the pipe out of the pen. because that's what I always did. Like, there was a certain kind of pen, like back in the day, that when you took, like, you unscrewed the bottom part where you click on the top part and the little, whatever you call it, the pen part comes out of the bottom part, and it's like a silver cone.
Yeah.
It's like a silver cone where the writing part comes out. But if you unscrewed the silver cone and you reversed it on the tube and you took out the clicky part and you would tape it up, that's what I smoked out of at work. I would have 1,000,000 of those pen one-hitters. So, like, and then imagining him on a school bus smoking weed in the morning and the sun's coming up and it's filling up with smoke and he's worried about the kids, it just takes me back. And it's not like a fucking super dark, horrible heroin crack story. It's like fairly innocent, and it reminds me of those days.
Yeah, it's just reminiscent of so many places that I know that so many of the listeners, me included, ended up. And that wasn't a weird night. Like that wasn't an anomaly. To end up alone. To end up. Yeah, well, I never ended up in a dumpster, luckily, and Evan is very lucky that he didn't get hoisted into a compactor, because he wouldn't have been able to tell that story, for one thing. But it was just reminiscent of all the times, that it did seem innocent that we would trip and recreationally use, right?
Right, and if you can use like that, God bless you. I think Evan wound up becoming some crazy opiate addict, if memory serves, but I'm sure if Evan's still listening, what's going on? Send in another voicemail. If you guys are listening, send in a fucking voicemail. Try to keep it snappy. Sam, I'm so glad you're on the mend. So glad you can come in. And you're getting better, live and kicking.
I'm getting better. I think I'm in the home stretch, and I think I could be sleeping in my own bed in a couple days.
Well, that's good news. We've gotten so many reviews. If you guys want to go on iTunes and leave a review, I'd prefer a 5-star review. But before we go, I'm going to read a 2-star review from Miss CSN on February 11th. She says, 2 stars, production needs work. I want to love this podcast, I really do, but the sound quality is just so incredibly bad. It's extremely hard to listen to. Not sure if they need better equipment or what, but come on. Surely there's a better way they could improve it some. It seriously sounds like someone making an audio memo on their phone. Harsh, Miss CSN. Quickly,
that is really harsh. I think your production quality is getting better and better.
Well, I think last week's, my dad keeps bothering me about it with the Aurora thing. We used the bad board, blah, blah, blah. She sounded bad, whatever.
She was a little faint, but are you sure she just wasn't on speakerphone on her end?
No, I have no idea what happened. I know it didn't sound great. Here, I'm gonna read some good reviews before we go. 5 stars, can't get enough. Wilhelmina. Dave, I love you. That's so nice. I love you too. I've been binge listening. I'm going to send a long voicemail soon. Send it, and don't make it too fucking long, Wilhelmina. Come on. Gold by Zainold. Thanks, y'all. This keeps me straight. Keep up the good content. Toodles. From Big Suave Nasty. Love. So much love for every moment. Good old Dub Steph from Twitter World says the best. Stoop by. I think she wanted to say stop, but she said stoop by to say I love you. Love these. And then a quick.
See, they're not bitching about the sound quality.
I love it. I mean, it boggles my mind and it fucking traumatizes me, but I love reading negative reviews. That doesn't mean you guys should give me negative reviews. I just think they're funny. So, fucking the other weird thing is that we have many, many people who listen to the show and not many people who follow us on Instagram and Facebook and stuff. So I think it'll make us more potential money and make us bigger if you follow us on social media. So just do that. I mean, I doubt these people are listening and don't have access to social media.
Right. Well, Dave, the big news of the week, but some of the big news is that the Dopey Nation Facebook group just hit 1,000 members.
It's a lot of dopes out there.
There's a lot of dopes out there that love the stuff that they're hearing every week. I think that's a pretty cool milestone. It's a pretty cool group. Everybody really super supportive of each other, and that's a not insignificant number, 1,000 people.
Well,
and growing every day.
Why don't you make an announcement when we hit 10,000?
I will.
All right, good.
I think I will.
All right.
You daring me? I'll do it.
So, yes, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Reddit. What's up to Cormac on Reddit for keeping Reddit healthy and free? Cormac, thank you for everything you do. But where's the fucking song, man? He owes us a song. Fucking Jake, where's the song? If you're a musician, do a little fucking tune, right? Right? Sam, hello?
Yeah.
I say right and you say nothing.
You can, scrub a washboard or, play a juice harp. Send us some music.
And do some art. And what was I going to say? There was something I wanted to say, but I don't remember what it was. I guess stay strong, Dopey Nation. And Sam, you want to say goodbye?
Yeah, I do want to say goodbye. And I do also want to say one more thing, is that to our brothers and sisters in and out of recovery north of the border in Canada, stay strong.
Yeah, that's great.
And toodles.
Super big thanks to super dopey guest Jamie Lee Curtis for coming on and participating, which blows my mind. Scratch Jamie Lee Curtis off the to-do list, which is exciting. And fucking Aloe Recovery. Thank you guys for supporting Dopey, and we support you. Hope you guys all had a romantic Valentine's Day. Looking forward to the fucking springtime, which will be so nice. If you live on the East Coast, it's been cold lately, and it's about to get warm and beautiful, which is really exciting. And we'll just say what we always say, which is stay strong, Dopey Nation, and fucking toodles for Chris, who we always miss.
Wanna take a walk around the world. I wonder would it do me any good until I get some money in my pocket. Then I guess I'll just have to walk around my neighborhood. 'Cause I wanna be so good, so bad. Wanna be so good, so bad, so bad. I wanna be so good, so bad. But bad desire's all I've ever had. I wanna take a ride up in the sky. Watch the aeroplanes just pass me by. I wanna see a Learjet liner take a dive. Show all the people what it means to be alive. 'Cause I wanna be so good, so bad. Wanna be so good, so bad, so bad. So good, so bad. Bad desire's all I've ever had.
Hey guys, this is Eric from Ventura County Medical Center. I'm Sam's nursing assistant. Just reminding the Dopey Nation out there to go out and get your flu shots. You guys don't want to end up an old, decrepit, fucked up man like Sammy here at the hospital. And, stay strong, Dopey Nation. Toodles. Toodles.